Earth has rich biodiversity. This includes living and non-living organisms such as plants, people, animals that form biodiversity. Forests, as one form of biodiversity, played a vital role for both humans and animals due to their numerous benefits. Forests in the Philippines, on the other hand, are in severe decline due to overexploitation and a lack of truly effective reforestation programs. According to the importance of forests, we rely on forest lands and resources for housing, livelihood opportunities, food security, and energy. All of these practices involve forests. Forest conversion is the leading cause of global deforestation today. Businesses and individuals are doing it for economic reasons or simply to survive. That results in environmental destruction. It is indeed a problem for forest and agricultural land. Environmental destruction results from illegal logging, deforestation, quarrying, cutting, and other harmful activity are the most damaging and extremely high risk to the environment. The video shows an example of quarrying in Montalban, Rizal, which may result in a serious environmental impact such as soil erosion, land degradation, landslides, pollution, and loss of biodiversity. This led to the concerning government protecting the natural environment, the DENR or the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, establish a policy, a national strategy for the sustainable development of forest resources on how to preserve and protect both forest and agricultural land for future generations. This done through CBFM, a community-based forest management, a national strategy of DNR to achieve sustainable forestry and social justice.
CBFM means Community-Based Forest Management. This is the national strategy of the Philippines in the sustainable development of forest resources. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources is the facilitating national government agency of CBFM because community-based forest management is not only a technical strategy, but it is also poverty reduction strategy, and so enterprise development is part of the process. CBFM is adopted in the Philippines because punitive measures which are implemented in the 1960s have not been effective because occupancy in the upland is prohibited before, so either they are put to jail or they have to pay some fines, but that has not been effective because many people are actually living within or adjacent the forest, and they are dependent on the forest resources for their livelihood. So CBFM was adopted as a win-win solution to the problem of occupancy in the uplands because these people can be partners of the government in the development, actually sustainable development of forest resources. So under the CBFM, which is implemented in the country in 1995, qualified communities are given 25 years land tenure, and it is renewable for another 25 years. So a total of 50 years for them to develop the forest land in a sustainable manner. And it is developed through agroforestry technology where they can plant forest trees, fruit trees, and agri-crops, so they will gain short-term, medium-term, and long-term benefits over the land they are developing.
SPUFI, or Sitio Para-Wagan United Farmers Association, Inc., is an organization, a small community within CBFM land located in Mount Para-Wagan. It was established on November 11, 2005. They are the qualified community awarded by DNR with tenurial instruments within CBFM land and the primary proponent of this project. The main livelihood of SPUFI are farming, agricultural crops, farm animals, livestock raising, and other livelihood activity that help the organization to have income. During the unstructured interview conducted by the researcher, the SPUFI need a proposal that address the community sustainable forest management. The findings of the initial data that gathered by the researcher, the existing community in Mount Para-Wagan seeks to address regarding the existing problem of the community, such as lack of utility source, alternative sustainable source of livelihood aside from being dependent in forest resources, forest protection, community development, and road rehabilitation. The general objective of the project is to develop a sustainable development of community and tourism in Mount Para-Wagan that address the existing issues of the community and how can architecture aid for the community and tourism success. Agroforestry is a combination of agriculture and forest resources in which agricultural crops or pasture land used for production for economic activity which will utilize on my project entitled Para-Wagan, a proposed community and tourism development complex, creating a framework for a sustainable development adapting community architecture and social forestry. The researcher defines Para-Wagan as para in Latin word refers to defense, protect against, and which protects from, while wagan meaning a village or community. It is a community that protects the forest. The project also identifies the important key variables, theories that help the study such as community, ecotourism, and architecture. The related literature use of this study to achieve sustainable development are community and environment. So, what is the role of sustainability in community and tourism development? According to Maravan, sustainability is defined as a complex concept involving three categories such as economy, community, and environment. These three categories overlap in sustainable development in order to preserve environmental resources, promote and conserve social system in a way that sustains the needs and aspiration of current and future generations. The researcher analyzes the sustainable development model from the related literature of this study. The result of this analysis are the application of this model to the project, whereas adapting the ripple effect of Agarwal and strong sustainability model of Vail, there is a significant relationship the architecture within community and environment in managing the natural resources for a sustainable development. Ecotourism, on the other hand, is a type of tourism that focuses on learning from studying, participating in environmental friendly activities. It emphasizes learning about nature, including its environment, plants, wildlife, and habitat. For the foreign case studies, the ethnic village of Karen in Thailand achieved the community-based sustainable tourism with a strong community participation and considering the environmental protection also have a source of livelihood aside from being dependent on natural resources. As for the clustered villages of Nuristan, Afghanistan, an excellent example of sustainable communities, since the local community depends on local resources to build their community and villages. The design achieved through rural or eco-architectures that creates harmony with nature resulting in ecologically sensitive design principles. For the local case studies, the Batad tiny village in Banawe achieved Muyong or the community-managed forest as source for their foods, water, and medicines. This will be adapted in the project as well as the Baluy or the mountain vernacular architecture in Ifugao as the most famous and iconic in Cordillera, cultural preservation for Ifugao tribe, and agrotourism as tourism spot in the area. The Bahay Kubu Whips in Cagayan de Oro City, the building situated on terrain with proper structural planning. With this formulated thesis roadmap, this will serve as a guide on how the data will be conducted and will be presented on the presentation and analysis of the data. In this study, the researcher conducted initial data gathering through informal interviews with the local upland dwellers, caretakers, and the president of the organization, ocular site inspection, site investigation in Mount Para-Wagan to determine the reliability of the data gathered. The site is located in municipality of Rodriguez, otherwise known as Montalban, Rizal, as a first-class municipality and used to have a vast forest land and agricultural area since it is surrounded by various mountains. Provided with a hazard map, the site is classified as no risk for flooding and high risk for landslide, so proper design consideration are needed for the project. According to its land use map, both lands classified as agricultural land and protection forest. San Rafael is a barangay in the municipality of Rodriguez in the province of Rizal. Mount Para-Wagan has 485 meters above sea level, the area having a slope of 4 to 17% category. Mount Para-Wagan can be reached on 30 minutes or 10.3 km away from Rodriguez Municipal Hall and 10 minutes walk using Wawa Grotto Road going to Mount Para-Wagan. These are the landmarks within 5 km from Mount Para-Wagan summit. There are various tourist spots, commercial establishment, school, healthcare unit, and existing community. Demonstrated with a tour map, from the terminal in Pamintinan Protected Landscape, there are an existing tricycle terminal going to Acacia Junction. It's either to take a right or 10 to 15 minutes walk going to the CBFM land, provided with site diagrammatic analysis showing the wind direction from the site. The site sandpath diagram to understand the best orientation of the buildings. The view consideration from the northwestern part of Mount Para-Wagan, which is the patrimonial property, and the southwestern part, which is the CBFM land. The video shows the panoramic view in Mount Para-Wagan, which has a majestic backdrop of Sierra Madre Ranges. The statue of the Rising Christ, with about 30 feet high, is also located on the mountain. The size of the lot under CBFM is 126 hectares and 172 hectares for patrimonial property. The development in CBFM will be based on the Community-Based Resource Management Framework formulated by the SPUFI. The development in patrimonial property will be based on Proclamation 617. The zones of the area in CBFM land were based on conceptualization between the researcher and the president of SPUFI. In patrimonial property, the area was categorized based on the existing context of the land. These are the resultant spaces based on the concept of the community, such as ecotourism, sustainable livelihood, and forest protection, and conceptualization of the researcher, which composed of entry area, communal, research development, ecotourism, agroforestry, utilities, forest protection, and the overlap area. Ecotourism area composed of accommodation facilities, observation tower, agroforestry as main source of livelihood of the community, and other economic facility. The architectural approach of the project will be adapted, the eco-vernacular architecture applied with modern approach integrated with bamboo construction and design. The 5 hectares communal housing development for the beneficiary of the project. Ecotourism area composed of accommodation facilities, observation tower, agroforestry as the main source of livelihood for the community, and other economic facility. Agroforestry and forest protection will be managed and protected by the community. Sustainable development has played a significant role in this project by utilizing the available local resources of the area, such as bamboo as the main building material and sustainable features for the facility. These are the design inspiration that will be adopted in the study, the accessibility and wayfinding that will be considered on the project, the sustainable architecture that serves as a guide and strategy on how to develop on Mountain Hill, the structural concept that will be utilized in the project, a waste management system that can turn into opportunity for the community.